So hi, I'm Lewis. I am a street photographer from Melbourne, currently studying at Photography Studies College in South Melbourne. And yeah, I'm just kind of walking with Archie today to capture some stuff, you know, talk about my process and whatnot. But yeah, it's just going to be a chill day, and hopefully it should be fun and get some interesting moments. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part of this for today. So I tend to start here in Parliament just to kind of warm myself up. Usually it's pretty quiet. A lot of people just kind of just hang out on the chairs, but you know, it's kind of a bit of a flip of the coin if someone who's got a bit of character or interest will be here. So I kind of hang out for maybe like a minute or two just to kind of warm myself up, check my settings and everything. And then I usually start heading off down Collins Street. Today's pretty cloudy, so we probably won't get too much interesting lighting, but I think today will be more of a character-focused shoot, but you never know. You never know when Melbourne can just whip out something unexpected with the weather. So one thing about fire engines and police cars is that sometimes I have my nightcrawler brain on, where like you're kind of like, oh, I want to see what's going on over there. There comes a line for me where, you know, you don't want to be that kind of guy who takes photos of people in like a really vulnerable state. Even though there's something going on, you don't want to like exploit it or come up with some sort of story that doesn't really need to be a story. You know, people are kind of in a bad spot, so I try to maybe stay clear, but sometimes cops are doing something quite funny and then you're like, oh, that's funny, yeah. Cool. The good thing about street is that it's like there's so many options of how you want to take your style or take your aesthetic. You know, you can be like a Bruce Gilden with a flash, and the whole point is to like create a reaction and create something of like that where they're noticing you. Whereas some photographers like Meyerowitz or Winograd is that, yeah, their whole stick was they literally were just like invisible people. You know, the thing that I have with street is that I like to capture like the sublime and kind of pick out extraordinary moments out of the ordinary. So when you're in the event, taking photos of the event, you know, it's just very transparent of what it is. Like, there's nothing really to say what's already been said on the surface. So when I did a workshop with Jesse Marlowe a few months ago, he brought up a really good point that, you know, when you're at an event, all you want to do is just to turn the camera around, just be behind the event, like capture people observing the event, because there's a good chance that someone from the event will, there's a guy coming soon, hang on. Turned a corner, it's not good. Oh, shit. Oh, this is the hard thing about street. Another thing about starting out is pack light. Don't pack random accessories that you won't use, because like just what happened there, I just got caught in the lab, and if you've got 2 or 3 cameras and a backpack and everything else, if you need to go freeball and quickly take a shot of something quick, you got to then bloody undo everything, and it's so annoying. So usually I just stick with the camera, maybe my drinks and a vape if, you know, I'm in the mood for it. But besides that, yeah, just keep it as light as possible so you don't have to worry about handling the shit that's not actually going to be used. Just a quick deviation, like, so that guy with the hat there, interesting character. He might be worth to follow. I don't really think it's that interesting just taking a photo of someone with some crazy outfit, I like to blend stuff together to add a bit of extra layers to the image, because it kind of ends up just being like a portrait shot, you know? And that can be really cool, and it is a form of street, but I feel like if I was doing portrait, it'd have to probably be a part of a bigger thing, you know? I don't really would just post a portrait unless I'm doing some kind of series. Literally yesterday, I did just take a photo of just this one guy. There was not much going on in the background, but he did this just huge yawn, like just insane. He was just like, I saw him in the distance doing his yawns, and I kind of stood beside him, camera on the side, hoping he'd do it again. And he did it. And when I looked at the photos at home, it looked like he was screaming. Like it looked like he was like doing some kind of like tribesman roar, and it was just a yawn. So like that in itself is something interesting, even though it is essentially just a portrait. You want to add some, you want to capture something a bit out of the ordinary with a portrait, not just what they're wearing. You kind of have to, for me, add something a bit more quirky of like what they're actually doing. Like once you put yourself out there, and you start doing it more and more, yeah, you do build the confidence up with your shooting. I mean, there's no rules in street. There's only more just preferences. But I have preferences. Like I would never shoot anything past like 50 mil, because I feel like it's too far away. It's the classic Henry Cartier-Bresson quote where if the image isn't good enough, you're not close enough. It sounds strange, but it is kind of a collaborative thing, because you're essentially just banking on the people you're photographing to do what you kind of want them to do, and you don't interfere with the scene. You don't tell them, oh, do this, do that. It all just kind of lines up like cosmically, and then if you smile quick enough, you can take the photo, and then it becomes that. Like it's just this one fleeting moment that won't ever happen again. Yeah, so I wanted to just see what she was going to do. Garbage bag. That's actually kind of an interesting background, to be honest. So I never follow from behind, because you don't want to not see the background when you're starting, because if you see the background too late, you're going to miss it. So always get ahead, make sure they're still kind of following you. And it also makes them less sus. If you're following them and they glance at you, and they glance at you again, then they're like, this guy's stalking me. But if you're in front of them, they don't give a shit. They might be like, oh, this guy's always like in front of me, but at the end of the day, it's like, so what, you know? Sometimes I will just hang about someplace like this to get something. I don't know if that makes a very exciting part of the video. I have a bit of a sense that there's probably not going to be too much happening to maybe make that into a good image. Nah, it's not worth it. Sometimes I will generally wait for a while if I really know there's going to be a shot. Yeah, well, I mean, I think the best way I can describe my style is purely either deciding to do a black and white or a color kind of image. So I'm a bit OCD with Instagram in the sense of like, when people view my profile, I don't want to just have like a complete blend of color and black and white. So I'll tend to do either like 3 strips of color and then 3 strips of black and white, or if I've taken a lot of black and white, I'll just do like 6 or 9, as long as it's in 3, so that if someone does look at my work, it's pretty organized. That's probably the closest I have to my style, is just the way I'm designing my portfolio, because I think with style, in some ways, it kind of just depends on the person looking at the work. Hey mate, how you doing? Are you all good? Yeah. Oh shit. Should have got that guy running in the background. Oh well. Maybe I could run after him. Essentially, like, you know, with street, you have kind of freedom to take photos in public because you're in a public space. You know, it's like it's just like you can do whatever really, as long as you're not being a dickhead. And then when you shoot inside a private home, that's when it draws a line of ethics, because you are essentially breaching someone's personal space or violating a restaurant's kind of like business or something. And someone brought up that with homeless people, you know, being homeless out on the street is like their private space. Like it is their home, it's what they have. And when you take photos of people that are homeless in public, it's a form of like intrusion because they don't know where else they can go, and they're cold, and it's a sad thing. So when some guy like me who has a home and has like a relative amount of comfort come in with a camera to just talk about, oh, look how sad this is, oh, it's so dramatic. It's just like, you can do so much better. Like, you can make it such a better image without having to use that as your scapegoat. It's not like a set in stone rule. It's just I don't really look for it. It's not what that's probably the only thing I don't actually like look out for is like people in massive distress or the homeless. There's only one photo I took where someone was kind of in distress, but I actually talked to them beforehand and they were chill. Some guy got into a very minor car accident where I parked, and I was happy with it. And if he was in a really bad place, I wouldn't have either taken it or posted it. But he was vaping on the bed, so I'm like, he's clearly chill, and he didn't seem too bad. But that's probably where I would draw the line. You got me in the lens. Ambulance in the background, bit of colour. We'll go for this guy. Let's follow him, see what he does. It's just kind of a box though, isn't it? See, it's just a box, so it's not that interesting. But if he like walks into a Starbucks or he's on the tram, then that's something. It's a bit weird. Like this isn't that weird, you know, people are just carrying shit. But it's more about where they're going or what they're doing that actually then creates the interesting part of it. So that's kind of what or even like just capturing a guy with a box, but then the guy behind him is like holding another box on the other side, and you got this like parallel. Just that kind of like one cosmic moment where you don't have, and it doesn't happen again, you know. I don't think he's made me yet, so once he makes me, then I'm out of here, you know. I don't want to be made. I don't know if you can hear this yet, but so far it's a bit dry. Not quite sure where I'm going to head with this, but you know, I'm still heading towards the market, so at least it's like still part of my track. Ideally, it would be great to have someone carrying something similar walking opposite him, but you can't control the streets, you know, you can't decide what you want to do. But then when it does happen, you're like, oh, fuck yeah, nice. That was a good moment. I feel like he needs a hand. This guy's probably, his arms are fucking wrecked from carrying that shit, you know? He's walking very fast. My legs can't keep up. I think I might wrap it. It's going down the suburbs. I was speaking as well. I wonder, do you reckon the lab picked that up? Probably. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I spoke through it. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Shit. mean, it's probably nothing, it's nothing post-worthy, but like, you have something, you know, you got like, got two, I wish this guy had a bigger box, but like, yeah, like, you know, you got that kind of dual box holding thing. It's a very rare thing where everything lines up immediately. Those are like the oh fuck moments where it is all just like, fuck, ah! Like you just saw me cross the street like that. Like I mentioned, you didn't see it, but I was speaking like, you know, when I'm done, it's usually the interesting thing that happens across the street and you're like, fuck, I wish I was there. And that literally just happened. Like I was like done with the guy and then that happened and then I had to almost, you know, get run over to get the shot. And that's kind of the beauty, another beautiful thing is that, you know, when you finish for the day, usually the best shit happens when you're fucking, when you're going home. Yeah, but like in general, like you just never know when gold will strike. So you always have your eyes out for something. If you walk around the street for, you know, 5 hours a day and you got shit shoes, you are going to really have a bad time. And you don't want to be in pain when you're working all day long. And this applies to anything when you have to walk a lot, whether you're in hospo or doing like a job that requires a lot of physical activity, you got to have good shoes. So that's probably the best advice I could give so far. And then also, always have your camera on you. Always, no matter where you are, have a camera on you. This is why I kind of recommend a smaller camera because people won't really notice you that much and question why there's a camera on you. You always make sure when you go out, just phone, keys, wallet, camera. So keep that like a habit. And then eventually you will take just good photos because something unexpected will happen. So this is like what I do, my settings. I have like my camera's set aperture. So, or actually it's auto, sorry. It's set auto, so it means that it's like aperture priority. So I basically, you know, set my aperture to whatever it is, and I want to make sure that my shutter speed is like at least like 1/500th because I don't want to get a shot and it's like blurry or got motion blur. So the more the light, the better, because then when it's really dark, I'd have to bump up my ISO. It's a very true philosophy. Doesn't matter what camera you have, but the thing is like, what works for you is what should be the camera you get. I got this really cheap. I probably wouldn't even have this. I'll probably have like a Fuji, the one probably you're filming with because it's cheaper. This one I got almost like half price to its retail. And I've always just wanted one just because I've like been wanting one for a while. It's just, the best thing about this is that how like just compact it is. It's nice and metal, so you can deal with a lot of situations. It's very simple to use. There's not much complex tools. So for me, the reason why I'm loving this is because it's just so simple. And it's a fixed lens. It's 28mm. I love that. I love just having one focal length because it makes me have to figure out how to compose the shot. I haven't really properly explored color because Melbourne's a very kind of, it's pretty moody, it's pretty gray. But when I was in Sydney, like I was shooting a lot of color. So I'm yet to really like, you know, push that to its limits. So I think overall, like, you know, your equipment is important, but if you don't have the money for something like this, then that's fine. Get it, if you're looking for a street camera, get something that is small, simple, and you can take around with you everywhere without people like being like, what's up, bruh, you know? That's why like whenever I leave the house, getting food, you know, buying a vape or whatever, I always have this on me because you just never know that something comes in and you have it on you ready to go. Keep it on, people like manual stuff. I usually shoot manual in general, but because it's street and it's really quick, you don't want to be fucking around with settings all the time. You want to, you know, you want to be having as little shit to do as possible. So I do have a good like belief that manual focus is important, but if it compromises your image, don't do it. Like Having a good autofocus feature. Having a good autofocus feature is really good when you just need to be quick. Or then sometimes I go manual and I forget to switch it back to auto. So then when I see a moment, I quickly snap it. It's all out of focus and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I realize, oh shit, it's on manual. So yeah, I think as little manually fucking around as possible, the better your chances are in getting a good shot. Oh, whoa, no worries at all. No, you're cool. So because I was shooting flash before, this is where you have to check on your shit. So I had my bloody settings at f16, which means that my shutter compensation was like 1 second exposure. So it's just white, and the mum just looked at me funny, so I'm not gonna then just like go after her again. The thing about Street that I'm also really happy about is that the community is they're just good people. They're really wholesome, they're very supportive, they're unpretentious. And the street photographers that I meet, or have met in Melbourne and Sydney, like every single one of them are just so generous with their time. I went to Sydney for like 4 days. I went to this Leica event for the Q3, Jesse was there, and I just chatted with a lot of them. And then like a few of them just hit me up on Instagram, like, hey, do you want to just walk the streets and just hang out, have a coffee? Yeah, so Archie, the boy here filming me, I met him like 4 days ago. I'm just out on my own taking street. I like being on my own. It's nice to just, do your own thing. It's nice to meditate a bit. I was at Flinders Street and I saw a group of lads, including Archie. And when I see some cameras, I'm just like, oh, how you doing? Like, what are you shooting? And you're like, oh, I'm just shooting street. And it's like, oh, cool, same. Like, what do you use? And can I see your work and whatnot? And then, it's such an easy, like, kind of conversation starter because you're both into the photography world. And then, I just hung out with you for the rest of the day. We just went to Doco. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you were bringing up just about how it has been a real mood booster with Street, and I agree. Like, so I was in the film industry for like 3 years. I still do it, bits and bobs of it, but yeah, for a while I've just been in a bit of a slump. Like, it's just pretty like, when I had my days off, I didn't really know what to do with my time. I was just kind of like, I don't want to watch movies, all this shit, and I'm just kind of like need something to keep myself busy. And then, yeah, just with Street, it's just like I've been never happier in my mental health and physical health as well. Like, I've been really healthy, eating well and going to the gym, and also just working on the street. You walk like 10Ks, 15Ks, so it's good exercise. And I think also the community adds to that, like the mental health side, because everyone's so nice, but not in a fake way. You just genuinely feel better. Other streets, should say hello. Yeah, the community is just like really wholesome, so that helps with the mental health as well. Like there's some lovely people in the film industry, and I'm friends with a lot of them, but there was a bit of like, it's very competitive. Like, a lot of people really just want to like top one each other or get like the coolest shots, and their work conditions can be pretty ropes. Like some shows I worked on, it's just like 14-hour. I want to get some rain stuff, but it's very intense, but that's the nature of film, and it just didn't do it wasn't really good for my mental health. And also, like, a lot of people were there's a lot of older people in the street, but I don't know, just, sorry, thank you. I shouldn't have said sorry, I usually say thank you. What happened there? Where's the photo? You gotta just be optimistic when you're out on the street. It's the reality is that sometimes things just don't happen, or you're not in the right place at the right time. So the best thing to go about is just to be positive, stay humble, and eventually you might see something. And that also helps to the mental health, because if you go in with an optimistic mindset and you're involved with the community, for me, I felt like, I just feel like I've just been able to be a bit more empathetic towards others and understand, characteristics of what people do, like the predictability of patterns. Matt Stewart had a really good point in his workshop at CCP where he brought up that, like, if you see someone do something and you miss it, don't worry. Don't feel like you're not going to get it, because human patterns tend to repeat themselves. So people will probably do what they just did again. Street should be a really kind of therapeutic kind of experience. That's why I enjoy it so much, is like, it's just relaxing. You're just kind of in the scene, you're enjoying what's going on in the world. And the least you want to deal with is like being uncomfortable the whole time. So I mean, for about 3 years, I've worked as a camera assistant for film and TV stuff. So music videos, commercials, had a little delve into long form TV, just as like a few daily jobs. So I did that for quite a bit, and last year was really busy, which was great. Made me be able to save up and pay for some equipment that I've been wanting to have. With the photography side is that I'm doing it because I'm loving it. Like, I don't go out in the street hoping to make a photo that will sell a bunch of prints or whatnot. I'm doing it because I just genuinely am addicted to it and it's really fun. So I think the way to just kind of, make work out of your passion is to keep doing it, and just eventually when you build up your skills and you become more confident, it will hopefully pay off and you can do something that feels satisfying but also successful in your life.
No.
Kick it! So that's something I usually wouldn't do. I wouldn't tell someone to do something. That was more of a joke. See, I haven't done street long enough to figure out what the sun's doing throughout the seasons. Oh, that sun, it's great. So like, I haven't followed the sun enough throughout the year to know what exactly it's up to in different seasons. I mean, I'm pretty close to doing it for about a year now. Started in like November. Probably, yeah, good part of at least 7-8 months now that I've done it. So I'm getting close. I've done almost 3 seasons. And I think it's only really been this season where I've really been kind of like perceptive of what the sun's doing. Usually I was just kind of randomly walking around hoping for the best. But now I am kind of more observant of what it's doing, just because it helps me get the best amount of light as possible. My mate had a photo of him on Facebook with his tuxedo and a bike. And I just thought it was such a cool thing to have this idea of like, newlyweds on this like Harley Davidson bike just zooming through, industrial streets and shit, like Vogue and, very fashion-y feel, Bonnie and Clyde. So I hit him up and I'm like, hey mate, like, can we do a quick shoot with you and your misso? And we'll have you in your wedding outfits and shit, get a flower bouquet, and then I'll just hang out of the car, going full speed. I had some mates, Curtis and Kane, just driving the car while I'm just dangling from the fucking vehicle. And then yeah, just like slow shutter, spammed it through. I originally tried it with flash, but it didn't work because whenever I took the shot, it just looked like they were still. So I was like, I want movement, I want energy. And then then turns out Leica picked it as picture of the week. So then they shared it on Instagram and everything. And I was like, sick. Yeah, so if you guys want to see some of my work, Instagram handle's lewiswarner.fs, and on my bio you can see my studio work. It's lewiswarner.studio. But thanks for watching, and hope that you guys can get something a bit out of it, or just enjoy the therapeutic process of street. But thanks Archie, appreciate it. Awesome, man. Lame.